Okay, let's go on with the military.
We moved from the city building up to commercial club building. Now, commercial club is still standing there, you know, on the corner of Spring Street and High.
Spring and High.
Letting the building fall down now, but that was still in good shape then. But up on the top floor of that is a big, like a gymnasium. That's what it was built for, a gymnasium. But the Chamber of Commerce was in that building. A fellow by the name of Matthies, Stanley Matthies. I don't know, he was hooked up with Antioch College or something like that when he come into Springfield. But he got the job here as head of the Chamber of Commerce. And we moved up there. And
that was your armory?
That was our armory.
Uh-huh.
We had 3 machine gun companies. And
where'd you do your camp work?
We went in the summertime. We'd go to Camp Perry.
Up by Cleveland, huh?
No, up Fort Clinton. It's still there. And they don't use it like we used to use it. We used to look there every summer. We went up there for 2 weeks.
Did you have active duty right away?
But well, of course, we got paid. We had to drill an hour and a half every week. See? Well, we got a day's pay for that. Of course, the day's pay then was $1. But if you got 15 drills in a quarter, that was $15 for $1 private. See? But they made me a corporal right away when I enlisted, and I enlisted in June, and we went to camp. We went to camp in August, and I forget what a corporal's pay was. And what do you got? This is Cindy.
Hi,
hello.
How you doing? Do you want to drink water, Pop?
How about you, Roland? Do you want to drink water?
Water?
No, he's doing all the talking.
You sure? No trouble.
Thank you, sir. This is Mrs.
You're
Perkins.
welcome.
Mrs. Perkins.
This is Dr.
Nice to meet
Matthies.
Hi.
Sure, I can't get you anything?
Oh, I don't know what I'd do without Cindy. Cindy's been with us. She worked for Mrs. Miller over here, and Clarabelle used to have her come over and help wash the windows, clean up the house or something like that. Then when Clarabelle got sick, and I had 2 of them. Mrs. Miller died, and we hired another old gal to come in here, and Cindy, and they worked each of them 8 hours, and I worked the night shift. I took care of everything at night. So then when Clarabelle died, why, I made a deal with Cindy that she comes in Monday through Friday, and she takes care of everything. Of course, my eyes are absolutely worthless anymore. I can't.
Okay, let's get back to the military, just to
All right.
finish that up. You were in the National Guard exclusively,
I was in the National Guard exclusively.
and then you were called up for World War II.
We were called in for World War II in 1940, and but up until that time, I was strictly National Guard. And 1940, then we were inducted into federal service, and I went through World War II, and as a lieutenant colonel, I had my first I had the 3rd Battalion of the 147th Infantry, and then when we were inducted into federal service, that's when the shit hit the fan. That's when they got rid of the feather marches. That's when we got rid of most of our officers, and great many of our non-commissioned officers. because they were just considered unfit for federal service, and most of them knew it, and our colonel, he asked to be relieved because he knew he was not capable of being a regimental commander is a hell of a responsibility. You got 5,500 people. And being a battalion commander is bad enough because I had almost, with the artillery and everything, I had 2,000 people. But they sent us to school, and they transferred me somewhere or another. I got the 1st Battalion of the 147th Infantry. And that was my outfit all through Guadalcanal, all through South Pacific campaign. And I guess I did all right. I got a pretty good record out of it anyhow. But when we come back, I was offered a commission in the regular army. And we still had a war going on in Europe. And I'd been out there away from my family, 2 kids in Clarabelle. I'd been away from them. And almost 2.5 years. And I turned it down. And Mo and I had talked this over, and they sent me up to Indianapolis, which was a discharge center. And I got another, what they call exit interview, see? And I got another one of these sales billy-doos. They tried to give me the business. And I still turned them down, so I got out. I went back to work, and I'd had enough military, and Maud had enough military.
You came out as a lieutenant colonel?
I came out as a lieutenant colonel. And
before you go ahead now, Bob, tell me about the various areas where you served in the real battles.
Well, the one we went from Indiantown Gap. They sent us to Indiantown Gap, and we were slated. We have all winter clothing, all wool, and everybody didn't know it, but I know the field grade officers knew it. They told us. We were going to Ireland. They were going to send us to Ireland and train us to go into Europe. And we were going on this ship that burned and turned over in New York Harbor. What the hell was it?
Wow.
Anyhow, that killed that because they didn't have any means of getting us there. So here we were, a whole division, 37th Division, sitting in Indiantown Gap, and hell popped up in the South Pacific. So they picked the 147th Infantry, less 1 battalion. Now that is 2 battalions. The 1st and the 3rd Battalion, my battalion, and another battalion, and regimental headquarters, shipped us to Brooklyn. We went through the Panama Canal. 42 days later, we landed in Friendly Islands, Nuku'alofa. No landing there. It was a beautiful little island. Oh God, of all the places I was on, if I had to go back to any one of them, that would be it. Climate is perfect. The people are wonderful. And it's just an ideal place, quiet.
How do you spell that name?
Friendly Islands. Friendly Islands. Yeah, that's the main town. The town there is Nukulofa. Nukualofa, just like it's pronounced. You know, those Polynesian terms are just like they're spelled, and you pronounce every vowel.
Now, when was this?
This is 1942. Well, anyhow, we got down there, and one night I got called to headquarters. Well, anyhow, before that, we were down there for about 6 or 7 months. The Queen was Queen Charlotte. She's the old gal that stole the show at the coronation when the Queen and the present Queen was a tremendous woman. Oh God, 6'6" or 7", weighed about 300 pounds. But boy, she was built perfect. And a perfect lady. She's been educated in New Zealand and Australia. She'd been to England. And she had the softest voice of anybody I can remember of. And she spoke perfect English, and she spoke English. And I got well acquainted with the old gal. And when we left her, the little village, see those Polynesian islands like that, they've got little villages. And each one of them's got a name. And the chief of this little village where we had been headquarters like, they was having a powwow, and the village chief was he was saying goodbye. And when they said goodbye down there, God Almighty, they talk, and then you're expected to talk back. And all they do is a lot of palaver, tell you what a great guy you are, and then you talk back and tell them what great people they have been, and so forth and so on. And it's just part of of being there.
You were defending this island?
Huh?
You were defending this island? Is that what?
No, there was. Well, in a way, while we were there, but God Almighty, it's way down in the South Pacific. We were thousands of miles from any action. What we were doing was being re-outfitted, getting rid of the wool we had and getting cotton stuff, and we were training for amphibious warfare. We were making landing nets and learning how to crawl up and down the darn thing. We were being retrained. We're retraining our people is what we were doing. And but anyhow, we were having this set to. And one of the guys, one of the Queen's, one of his staff, one of her staff, come down and give me this little piece of tablecloth. It was all folded up. And he made a speech and told me what a great guy I was, and she handed me this thing, And I unfolded it, and it's a piece of tapa. About that long, about that high. And it's just like silk. Now, tapa, I got a whole batch of it down in the basement folded up, and is mulberry bark. They take a log and they soak it, then they just tap it. And they grow these little mulberry trees till they're about that big around, and then they cut them. Just put a slit down there, and then take a strip of bark about that wide. They beat that out until it's about that wide, and then they put two of them together and beat it, and it'll stick. Well, that's everything. That's their cloth down there, and they make clothes out of it. They make blankets out of it. They make decorative materials. They take the sap and make dye, and draw pictures on it and everything. And that's what this was, the Queen's coat of arms on this thing. And Pete has it. I still have that thing. I'll never give that up. Pete wanted it, and I let him have it. And we have it in a plastic thing about so big. He's got it hanging on his wall in his apartment in New York. Had it there for years. But anyhow.
You're referring to your son, Pete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she and I became, she's a great bicycle rider. And she seemed kind of take a shine to me because I always called her Your Majesty, you know. She'd come along on that damn bicycle and I'd throw her a big salute and Your Majesty, and she'd always have something nice to say. But she was a sight to behold to see riding the bicycle. Oh, God almighty. But she's a beautiful gal, beautiful gal. And
so all of this came about after Pearl Harbor, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
That's
sure.
what brought you down there is...
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
hell yes. No, we was down there. This is... And then... They called me up to headquarters one night and said, listen, you alert your boys right away because within the next 24 hours you're going to be leaving. And said, we got the orders here now, and they gave me the orders. And I was to be Task Force 0051. I would be reinforced at sea with Carlson and 2 companies of his raiders, a Marine Defense Battalion, and a battalion of CBs. And we would proceed to an island, Ndeni, Ndeni. I never heard of that thing. Nobody ever heard it. And we would take that island, if occupied. They didn't know whether there was anybody on it yet or not. They didn't know whether the Japs were on it or what. But if they were on there, we would knock them off and put it in a landing strip. And the fighter planes would follow, see? So the way we went. And we got up to... We got out at sea all right. And about the second night out, we stopped. They woke me up, and a lot of blinking going on between them damn ships, you know. They're great on this blinking. Somebody off here blinking, and the skipper told me, he said, yeah, well, that's one of Carlson's destroyers. He had some... he wasn't... That was another odd setup, Carlson. The Marine Corps hated him because he had been a Marine Corps officer. He was a lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps. But somewhere or another, he'd gotten to Eleanor Roosevelt. And she was the one that backed Carlson. And there wasn't anything he had that was standard. None of the equipment he had was standard. None of his guns were standard. Jesus, everything was special bought. And, but anyhow, that's Carlson. And skipper says that he's coming aboard. And pretty soon, here he comes. And who was with him? And Jesus, right off the bat, I knew this guy, hellfire. You couldn't miss him. It was Jimmy Roosevelt, president's son. Mm-hmm. But this is as far as he'd go because he was not to be exposed to any hazardous duty.
Yeah.
But we had a little get together there and solidified the Carlson wanted to go in first, and that was all right with me. It didn't make any difference to me. And he'd go in first, and then he'd signal me and indicate where there was a good landing site to bring in my boys and bring in the see, everything had to be moved in on we had to put together these big cubes and make rafts out of them. See, there were big steel cubes about 6 foot by 6 foot by 6 foot, and they were hollow. And you just dump them overboard, and bolt them together, and you could make a raft as big as you wanted. See, and that way we could get our artillery in, and the ship had a landing craft on it, had Higgins boats on it, so the boys we could take in on the Higgins boat. But we were all set. Okay. So on we went, and just about the time we got up there, hold the phone. Jesus, the wires started, wireless coming in, and no, we're not going to go. We're going to the Coolidge hit a mine going into Roses and sunk. 6,500 people on board. Well, of course, they didn't lose anybody, but that upset the apple cart because they were headed for Guadalcanal. And we were the only thing left then. We were the only armed outfit left afloat that was available to shoot into Guadalcanal to reinforce 1st Marine Division. Of course, 1st Marine Division thought they was up against it, see? And they weren't. Hell, they weren't. But they changed the orders then and said, you will proceed and you'll go into Aola Bay and you'll put a fighter strip in there, which was below Henderson Field. And so we did. We landed on Guadalcanal, a little place called Aola Bay, which was east of Henderson Field and east of where the Marines were. And I took the 1st Army outfit into Guadalcanal to reinforce the 1st Marine Division. And we had no resistance. Wasn't anybody down there at all. Carson went in. He took his boys in first, and built a fire. Showed us where the beach was, and this Sergeant Booza, I don't know if you remember that or not. Booza was supposed to be that he had been terrorized by the Japs, and this captain Englishman who was I guess he would be the equivalent of a State Department employee in our country. But Clemens, Captain Clemens, he'd been kind of a waste of coast watcher. He and Booza were there. Sergeant Booza. Of course, he couldn't speak English, Booza couldn't, but he could speak good pidgin. And you soon learn that pidgin too, that you can get along with any of those natives if you can speak a little pidgin. But then we were on Guadalcanal for 7 months. That little outfit of mine was on Guadalcanal longer than any other one outfit. 7 months. We was on there until we landed there. The Marines landed in August. We landed in September. And we didn't leave there until April. And we went through all the tail end of the fighting. And my little outfit, the last battle that was fought, we fought when we took Tasafronga Point. That's in the book, too.
How do you spell that one?
Huh?
How do you spell that name?
Oh, Tasafronga, Tasafronga, Tasafronga. That's a little spit of land that sticks out like this on the Guadalcanal. But we went through some pretty lively scraps there.
Were you attacked at any time by Jap bombers?
We were on the attack all the time. We got pinned down a lot of times, but we were never attacked. We had, our losses were very, very minimal. I think we got by pretty lucky. But then when they took us out of there, they sent us back. We'd been there, and of course the boys began to have malaria. They sent us back then to British Samoa, and we were there then for 7 months. That's where we got malaria. I was the last one in the damned outfit to get it. I had followed, of course, they kept us on this Atterburn and yellow pills. And they were terrible. They tasted terrible. And of course, the water we had to drink was pretty terrible. You know, it was all loaded. Anytime we'd get a hold of any water, you had to put a lot of chlorine in it, and it made it taste awful because we had no way of aerating it, you know. So you take the Atterburn and you take the water, and you didn't know which was the worst. But I took it. I took it faithfully every day, and that damn stuff does it. It didn't cure, but it was it suppressed the stuff. And when you got it, but when you finally got malaria, you got it, boy, oh boy. And I was the last one in the outfit to get it. And I got it on. I got my first attack there on British Samoa. We'd set up a hotel, but anyhow, after we were there for a while, then we went back down to Noumea, Caledonia, and then we restaged, and we went back to Guadalcanal, from Guadalcanal on up to a little island called Emerou, up in the Admiralties. That's just north of Caviang in New Britain. And we landed there, no opposition, but we put in a fighter strip there. I went in there with the 4th Marine Division. And that's where I came back from. And but I got a map out one time, and I started counting. But I've been on 26 different islands in the South Pacific. 26 different ones. And a guy like me, you know, I'm the seasickest person in the world. All I got to do is look at a ship and I start to puke.
Is that right?
Huh? Yeah, that's right.
Oh man,
I hate them. Man, we went from Guadalcanal up to Emerou, and I was a regimental executive officer. And our colonel was Bill Tuttle, Wild Bill. Bill was an old regular Army. He's a regular Army colonel. He took us over down to Indian Town Gap. And Bill and I fought like cats and dogs at first, but we finally got to be real good friends. Even after the war was over, Bill come back and retired, and he was down here in Pennsylvania. And Clarabelle and I was out too. And we used to go down and visit him. And then his wife died, she died in May. And Clarabelle and I went down, and we visited Bill, and Bill said, call me out in the kitchen. He said, he always called me Frank. Frank, come here a minute. And I said, what do you want? He said, I want to do a little toe-to-toe drinking. And I went out with Bill, and he said, he poured out a drink, out of my, in a 12-ounce glass, and I'm no drinker, you know. I don't drink. I never did drink, and I still don't. I like a cocktail, but I like it before a meal, and then take one, and then eat, and that's it.
Yeah.
But anyhow, Bill said, let's do a little toe-to-toe drinking. And I thought, well, this is one, if I got to get drunk with Bill, this is the time to do it. And he said, they give me the word. He said, I was down in the hospital today, and they give me the word. And I said, what do you mean they give you the word? He said, I'm dying. I said, what the hell are you talking about? No, I said, I got it. He said, I got big C. And he said, there's nothing they can do about it. And he said, they've given me not over 6 months. And that's the last time I saw Bill alive. But
We're at the end of this one.
on the board of directors, and hell, they tried to get me to go back, but I didn't. There's too many of them women and their petty little damn petty problems. And I got so damn sick of it that I just didn't. I just couldn't take it anymore. I just didn't want any more of it. It wasn't that. Because I didn't pay too much attention to him. But anyhow, I was down there one day, and there's always somebody coming in, and they wanted to know something, and we had 2 or 3 women there, volunteers, fiddling around and shuffling papers. They wasn't doing anything. So they'd always somebody come in with a question, and they'd shove them off on me, and this fellow come in and said, listen, I said, I got a picture. I just wonder if you'd be interested in it. And I said, well, if it has anything to do with Clark County, or well, he said, this is a picture. It's the personnel of American Seating Machine Company when they have a picnic. Well, I said, sure, we'd be interested in that. I said, bring it around. I don't know what we can do with it, but I said, we'd like to have it, and we'll look at it and catalog it, and is it framed? No, it's not framed. It's rolled up. Well, I said, maybe then we frame it. And you know any of the names on there? Oh, you're there. I know a lot of them. Wow, that's fine. You can identify some of them. That'll help a lot, see? So the way he went, he said, I'll bring it down. And I didn't see him again for long. One night, the doorbell rang. And I went to the door, and here was this guy. So I brought this picture. He said, I was in town. I said, oh, you don't live here. No, I don't live here. He said, I used to. He said, I used to when I worked down Seating Machine. That's what we always call it, Seating Machine. But he said, I forget where he lived anymore, and I don't even remember his name anymore. But he said, here it is, and I said, well, we'll not going over tonight, but I said, I want your name and your address and so forth, and so I'll let you know, and they come down, and you can name some of these people. So that's the way he left it. But I said, I've been thinking ever since you was here, and when I was a kid, I said, and the seating machine was down here, he said, I remember that in the lobby of the offices, we went, I said, I don't remember the occasion anymore, but I said, for some reason or other, there's a bunch of us kids went in there, and somebody showed us this, you had a fancy machine sitting on the floor in there, and it had a motor on it, turned the wheels, and yeah, he said, I remember that thing. And he said, gosh, I wonder what happened to it. I said, so would I. But I said, that's something that we really be interested in. If we could get a hold of that thing, whatever happened to it. And he said, I know something. He said, you know, White moved, when White bought the place out and moved it, they moved everything to Cleveland. And he said, I know a couple of those people over there. And he said, I'll get in touch with them and see if they can help. Well, telephone calls, letters, notes, and so forth, went back and forth. And we finally, one day he said, yeah, he said, we found it. He said, it's in the basement of an old office building that they're using for storage up there in Cleveland. And he said, we can have it. Well, boy, I said, this is fine. Now, how the hell do we get it down here? Because I said, geez, the Historical Society hadn't got any money, and I said, I haven't got any money. Well, he said, let me see what I can do. And one day I got a telephone call from the gal out here at the fairground. And she said, we've got a pickup truck out here with an old piece of farming machinery on it. And, geez, I jumped in the car and went out, and here it was, this thing. It had been on a frame, and they couldn't get it in this damn pickup truck. So what they did, they cut the frame with a torch, and they got this thing in there. And it wasn't machine-wise, it was in good shape, but it hadn't been taken care of, you could tell that. And then I later found out, I'll tell you what about it later, but we took it off and we put it in that shed out there at the machine. And that kid of the gal that used to run the fairgrounds out there, he was going to weld that thing back together because it was just a little light frame, and it was built to hold the thing up about that far off the ground. Because when they had it out here in the lobby out here, they had a little electric motor hooked onto it, and they'd start that motor, and that thing would run, and then one end of it was kind of cut away with glass tubes on it, and you could see what made the thing work in there, you know. And it was all made, the chest part of it, the seat chest part of it, was made out of bird's eye walnut or bird's eye maple. All the metal parts on it were nickel plated, and you could still see the bird's eye walnut. You could see the superior painted across the back end of it. Some of the varnish was still on it. Very little of nickel plate was on there anymore, and a lot of the white rubber, the black rubber parts of it had been white, but there were 3 of them made. Now this is in a letter that I got from this fellow later on. It should be in the record down there. One of them went to Smithsonian Institute. One of them was given to the Shah of Iran, and the third one was on display at the Panama Pacific Exposition of 1893. That's this one. Now, I don't think there's anybody, except me, that knows that.
What does the machine do?
It's a seeding machine.
Seeding.
It planted wheat.
Okay.
Planted grain. Wheat, barley, rye, oats.
Does it have a name on it?
Superior.
Superior.
Superior drill.
Have you seen it out there?
Well, I unloaded it.
Is it still there?
Oh, it has to be. What the hell would take it?
Okay.
But they had a picture in the paper, a Superior drill, and I think that was it. They know they got it now, but I don't think they know the history of the thing. But that's the one that was on exhibit at the exhibit in the World's Fair in 1893, and the background of the thing. It's a thing that there was only 3 of them made.
Huh.
One of them, Smithsonian had one of them, and one of them was given to the Shah of Iran, and why, I don't know. And the other one, that's this one, that was on display at the World's Fair.
Barb, I had to stop the interview at this point, and it will be continued at another time on another tape. Thank you.